Hey YouTube. So in this video today, I want to have a chat with you about when it is that you price up a job, if it's risky or sketchy, or there's things involved, you know, where you can either damage yourself or somebody else's property, do you charge accordingly? Now, I do, if I'm being honest with you. Now, obviously, there's no price you can put on, you know, you being injured, no matter what it is. You know, it's like, if I think a job's too dangerous, then I wouldn't do it. It's as simple as that. But like anything, there's risks involved. You know, is the grass cut a 1 out of a 5? You know, is it a 5 out of 5? You know, if it's anything more than that, you think to yourself, well, Luke, I don't want to be doing this. It's too sketchy. It's too dangerous. And I've walked away from jobs in the past that I've thought to myself, I'm not doing that. One of them, it was a garden that was set on like the side of a valley, almost. That's the only way I can describe it. Very, very, very steep hill, and the properties all went up the side of it. And this bloke's property was like tiered. That's the only sort of way I can describe it. It was like as if it was done on layers. You'd go up one set of steps to get to one little area of the garden, another set of steps, you know, further up to get to another area of the garden. And I think you had another set of steps, so it was quite steep. And at the top of the set of this, you know, the top of the garden, there was this box hedge, like privet. And facing it up was no problem because you could face one side. Then you had to go down a set of steps to face up the front side. I was like, yeah, I could do that, you know, with a long reach off the ground. But when it come to the tops, I thought, well, you know, how do you do it? You'd have to get a ladder up, really. And I don't mind climbing up my ladders, but I couldn't fit my ladders there. So I said to the chap, I said, Luke, it's going to have to be a pass on this job. He says, I'll tell you how I do it and then see if you want to do it. And how he used to do it was he used to climb on top of the hedge. He says, see that little tree there? I used to stand on that, get myself on the hedge, lie on the hedge, and then sort of snake my way over and then cut the hedge at the top and then work my way back. And I looked at him and I looked at the drop. So if you'd have fallen off it, it would have been probably a 12-foot drop either side. I just used to think, one, you're fucking insane, thinking, you know, that, you know, doing it like that anyway in the first place. And then two, you must think I'm insane. Like, look at me, I'm no spring onion. You know, if I fall, I'm gonna be hitting that ground hard. So no way. So I passed on that job. It's just the same. So going on a little detour here, I'll never forget, it was in newspaper clipping years ago where some bloke had got disgruntled by the council, had not changed a light bulb in a lamppost. So this bloke had like taped, you know, his step ladder to his ladder and then another ladder to that. So he had like 3 ladders taped together to then go up to the lamppost himself to change the bulb by himself. And he was like an elderly gent anyway. And I've seen it myself where I saw 2 old blokes. Now there's a sign that had dropped and it was in the middle of nowhere. It's like at the top of this big hill, you know, on the outskirts, you know, nothing was around. And the sign had dropped. One of the clamps must have come off it. And these 2 idiots, that's the only way I can describe them, were, there was a pickup parked in, they had a set of step ladders, and then they had a set of ladders taped to that, and they were then climbing up that. His mate was pushing the sign up as he was trying to hold the sign up, and the sign itself was probably about an 8x4 sheet of ply. I was thinking, if that sign at the top slips, you're going to be guillotined. And I just can't understand it, why people take stupid risks. Now, for me, I don't take anything bordering on stupid. If it's sketchy, I'm not interested. Because, like you say, you can't put a price on getting knackered up. Well, you can, but you're not going to pay £20 million, are they? So, for me, I do generally tend to play it as sensible as I can. but there is jobs where there is risk involved. So I've done this commercial building for a good while, and I'll be honest with you, it's a legacy customer, and the pricing I was charged them I was happy with, but when I first took it upon, I underestimated the job, and I also underestimated the risk that was involved doing that job. And luckily they decided to sell up, but the company that's come in has bought it and have took me back on, but they want me to re-quote it. And I said, yeah, that's fine. So the price had gone up, and I've looked at it for a few reasons. One of them is that I did underquote it in the first. Well, it's not that I underquoted it, it's the fact that I think I could be earning more off it. Maybe that is underquoting. But the main one is the safety side. Now, I can't put a price on my body, they won't pay it. But there is times where I think to myself, it's a job that, it's like anything, the riskier jobs, I think you should be rewarded in them. And you sort of, as I say, if it's too dangerous, you don't bother. But when it's risky, I think, well, so the two main risks, one, it's next to a main road and it's a verge. So if it is that somebody cuts that corner a bit too close, and they're right on the line basically, and you're streaming, they could clip you. So it's a high vis job. It's also a job where I park my vehicle to sort of give myself a little bit of cover. Now I'm running the risk of damage happening to my vehicle, again, somebody cutting it close. And also as well, you've got to think of their property as well. So they've got big showroom windows. If I put a stone through one of them, that's going to be an insurance job. So, okay, I can't go putting a price on my excess on every quote, but I'd rather be charged and pay what I think it's worth than be undercharging and then something happens and I think, well, not only have I done this, and been, ripped at this, but then I've not even earned enough to cover, So I do think of it like that, I really do. And I think any job that involves you getting the ladders off your van, I think should be charged accordingly. Now it's up to you what it is that you charge, whether you put a little bit extra, you double it, it's up to you. But for me, I think there is a safety aspect to it, and I think you should be rewarded. And I think a customer should be understanding that, hey, this bloke is scaling up his ladders to do this job for you. And as such, it should be sort of charged accordingly. So that's one other thing that I sort of factor in as well to a job, if it is that I have to take my ladders off the roof. Another one as well is anything that's sort of bordering on. So if there's a lot of stuff in other people's properties that I think, hey, this could be damaged doing this could be damaged due to me doing that, I'll factor that in as well. And it's a hard one, and the thing is, it could even be a fiver, you know what I mean? If you've got a customer that's got 1 billion lawn ornaments on the lawn and you're moving them every single day and swapping them every single time you do a job, then I think in a way you should put that little bit extra on. And it's up to you what you do, it really is. For me, I do charge accordingly for it, and as I said, even if it's just a token, even if it's a fiver, even if it's a 10, even if it's 5-10% extra. Now, I find to myself, if ever I've got to justify that extra cost, then again, I think to myself, well, is this the customer I want to work for, so to speak? But as I said, you've just got to sort of think about that when you're pricing these jobs up. But you've got to look after yourself, that's the main one. You've got to look after yourself, you've got to look after other people around you, and you've got to look after other people's properties. You have. Now I did a job start of this season actually, and it was one of them where I thought I broke this customer's window. I really did. And I even took precautions beforehand. So I went and she had just a wall of brambles. That's the only way I can describe it. just a wall of brambles, and she wanted these brambles all cutting back. And I was like, right, no problem, Oregon mulching blade, perfect job. Only problem, there was patio door, windows, you know. I was like, oh. So I'm gonna use it, but I've got to be very, very careful using it. Now, when I had my Oregon mulching blade, I bought a Stihl brush cutter combi unit thing with the big massive guard on it, and I thought, well, look, if I just keep my back to it, I should be okay. So I was trimming it and I was thrashing it back, and I thought, right, I'm going to take before and after pictures of the grass inside the garden and the windows. I thought I'll take pictures of them, and took pictures of them, didn't I? Brush cutted all that, braked up, and I looked, and the bottom pane of the door was popped. You could just see where a stone had gone, broke the first layer, but it hadn't gone all the way through. I thought, oh, fucking hell. So I looked at my phone to look at the pictures, and of all the pictures I took it in such a way that that door wasn't on there. It's like, for God's sake, I just couldn't see. And I thought, and I didn't know, if I'm being honest with you. And the customer come back, and she said to me, she says, like, we should have walk around, and she pointed at the door and she goes, have you seen that? And I just, you know, this is maybe me not being as savvy, and I just said, oh, I said, I'm ever so sorry about that. And she says, yeah, I said it was a bug I wanted, I did it the other week. I was like, oh, thank God for that. And she said, yeah, she said she was mowing and a stone flicked up. And I thought to myself, oh, bloody hell, you know, thank God for that, really, thank God for that, because that would have been, that probably would have been the value of the job, because it's such a small pane of glass that it would have been, I'd have just paid for it out of my pocket. So I would have done that job for free if it is that I would have broke it. But you've got to, and that's another thing as well, just talk upon briefly. We've talked about risking damaging our body, risking damaging the thing. Oh, another thing, going back to the commercial job, I have requoted it and I have charged accordingly for it. I have put more on it for that added risk. I have, and we'll see if I've not took the piss, don't get me wrong. I think I've shoved another like 30 quid, 40 quid on the quote for both jobs. That's my sort of risk money. Like I said, you can't put a price on your body. You know, well, you can, but they won't pay it. But I think anything's better than nothing. You don't want to be an idiot charging residential prices, doing a commercial job, and it's sketchy as anything. So you've got to think about it like that. So, talked about damaging yourself. Another thing as well you've got to be very sort of wary on is damaging other people's property. And I would always say with any single job that you do, take before pictures. When you first get there, take before, and if you can, take afters. I'd say definitely, you know, and also take pictures of any sort of damage that you notice. So if a window's already popped, take a picture of that. Just you know, or just even a good, because on my iPhone you could do, I think it's like a high definition picture where the phone has to think about it, but it does take a bloody good picture. So much so you could stand back, take a picture of the front of the house, and the quality is good enough that you can zoom in on each, and it'll just stop you. You know, just stop the risk of a customer saying, oh, you've broken this, you know, you've broken that. Let me just have a look on your phone, and you can see. And also as well, as if there's anything down the line with work where the customer says to you that, you know, you've not been maintaining this, you've not been maintaining that, or they get out to paying you, you know, whatever, anything, you've got that little bit of evidence. You know, this is what the job looked like at the start, this is what it looks like now. You can see that there is progression. When I do exterior cleans, I always, so say if I'm doing a conservatory, I'll always make a note of any existing damage. So if like the finials, or there's trim missing, or, you know, trim hanging off, or the window's cracked, anything scratches, I'll always make a note, and I'll always say to the customer, I've just noticed these that are damaged here, just letting you know, because the last thing you want And it's the same with even power washing. I know a lot of gardeners do power washing, but I've had it before where I was doing some Indian stone, and literally the surface cleaner just touched one of the Indian stone slabs and it started blowing out. And I think someone said to me that there's good Indian stone, there's really, really bad Indian stone, and that must have been that, where the lines just, they haven't been compressed over time enough, whatever, and it just blows apart. And I said to the customer, I says, Luke, I says, I shown to her, I said, it's blowing apart here. And she just says, well, Luke, she says, it needs cleaning, it's a safety aspect more for her. So if it is that the whole thing blows out, and she ends up losing the top layer, then so be it. It needs doing because it's slippy for the guests. And I did it, and I got about 4 bucketfuls of like shale off the top of this. So you've just got to think about that as well. Anything that you spot, let the customer know. Not everybody is honest, not everybody is, oh yeah, I noticed that. It's like that lady, she could have picked up on me apologising, and she could have ran with that. She could have thought, right, I'll try it on with this bloke. And I haven't got a leg to stand on. I would have admitted to it because I couldn't say for sure that I didn't do it, So you've just got to sort of go like that. So, as usual, guys, have a good day.